Hi, welcome to the Dairy Hour Podcast, where rural charm meets personal growth. Join us as we milk every moment for wisdom, self-improvement, and mental wellness. I'm your host, Val Levine, a rural dairy farming mom with a passion for filling hearts while never forgetting to fill my own cup. Get ready for insightful conversations, empowering tips, and a splash of fun and laughs, of course. Let's cultivate growth, nourish our minds, and embrace the journey together. This is the Dairy Hour Podcast, where every episode is a breath of fresh air and the inspiration you need to be your best self. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Dairy Hour Podcast. I am your host, Val Levine, and I am joined here today by Emily Tills. Emily, how are you today?
Hey, Val, thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great today. How about you?
Awesome. It is going to be a hot one today, so we're trying to get everything ready before the heat really hits upstate New York this coming week. Today is going to be hot, but it's going to be cool compared to what we're about to face. That is where we're at. Thankfully, the air conditioner in the house is up and running and working, and the fans are on in the barn, and here we go. But
nothing's going to have a break the next week, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. But hopefully we'll just get through it, and then we can go back to some more normal temperatures for upstate New York. So, Emily, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Emily Tills. I am a registered dietitian with my business Nourish with Emily. We focus on helping professional men and women feel confident in their skin and in the kitchen through nutrition counseling, education, and support through a variety of different areas. So whether that be through our one-on-one program, through our 8-week small group coaching program, or through our Nourish membership, which is our low-cost membership that gives people education and resources and community to help them get started. And our practice, too, is entirely virtual, which is great so that you can be anywhere and we're able to give you support. I love what I've been doing. I've been doing this stuff for 6 years, and it's a dream to have my own business and be able to do whatever I want with it, really.
That is fantastic. Now, when you say your business, how you said how many of you are there?
Yeah, so I have 4 contractors that work with me. All of them have their bachelor's degree in nutrition. 2 of them are RDs. One of them is RD eligible, so registered dietitian eligible. She just has to take her exam. And then my assistant is starting her master's and dietetic internship program this fall. So that's something that I'm super proud of, is we have people that are in the field and they know what they're doing to be able to help support our clients on all different levels.
Definitely. That's quite a team that you have there. Very impressive. So talk a little bit about, growing up and what drew you into becoming a registered dietitian.
Yeah. So when I was 13, I was diagnosed with an eating disorder. I was on the JV basketball team. We were not good at all. We go horrible. I think by the January of that year, we were probably 2-12. So not great, not winning very well. And as somebody who just wanted to be good, and I was never good at basketball. I had never played until 7th grade. I was never on a team. I had danced. I made the team in 7th grade, and I was on it still in 9th grade. And with us being not good, I was frustrated. I was busting my butt. I was like, oh, what are we doing? Why aren't we getting there? And then to have our coach at practice one day say, none of you are in shape enough to play basketball. As a 13, almost 14-year-old girl, that rocks your world. That's all right, well, if this is what we have to do, then I need to work harder. I need to lose weight. I need to be faster. I need to do all these things. And that really spiraled into an eating disorder where I had lost about 45 pounds in the matter of 3 months. I scared my family, of course. But through getting treatment for that and coming out of that, I had to see a registered dietitian. And going into those appointments, I was so nervous because I was like, nothing's wrong, nothing's wrong. And then having that fear of you're talking about nutrition to someone you don't know, someone who is an expert in the field, and having that feeling of, oh my gosh, she's going to tell me everything I'm doing is horrible and it's all wrong and she's going to be mean. And it was the exact opposite. She was so warm and welcoming and really so inspirational, and a huge part of my success of coming out of my eating disorder, and then inspiring me to be a dietitian after that as well. It was just, I'm still thankful for all the work that she did and the belief in me. And then I was able to go back and shadow with her and reaffirm that, yeah, this is something that I definitely want to do, and then go to school for it and get my master's. And originally I thought I was going to be a sports dietitian because I played, sports in high school. And then I remember going to a talk at Syracuse University from the Cleveland Browns dietitian. And she said, we work 18-hour days, 9 months out of the year with no vacations. And just, you're kind of at the whim of whatever the coach wants. If the coach doesn't think that a dietitian is necessary, you could be on the chopping block. I was like, you know what? I like athletes, but maybe not enough to do it at the professional level. I can still help the everyday weekend warrior, the everyday person that's going to the gym and working hard. And that's really where my business had started from there.
That's awesome. And I mean, like, this is obviously not meant in an insensitive way, but obviously when your team was that bad, you were definitely not growing up to be a pro basketball player.
Oh, exactly. And I joke about it now. Like, I played left bench the entire 6 years that I played basketball. I don't think I ever started a game. Maybe on senior night I started the game, but I was in for like 2 minutes and then they pulled me out. I was not. I'm also 5'4", so I'm not tall enough to be a great basketball player either.
But by golly, you kept that bench warm, didn't you?
Exactly. I was a great cheerleader. That's what I love to do.
So you were just in the wrong sport. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Maybe the cheerleading too should have been it.
That, or, then I played softball. I started with lacrosse, 7th grade to 10th grade. Wasn't getting a whole bunch of playing time in 10th grade after I played a ton 9th grade because the coaches kind of switched over. So I went to softball. I loved it. I was like, I should have played this the entire time. Like, people want you to be fast. They want you to be sturdy. You don't need to be, as small as possible or anything. So lessons learned, probably should have played softball more.
Yes, definitely. And, so whereabouts did you go to college?
I went to Marywood University. It's in Scranton, Pennsylvania. So I live in Syracuse. It's 2 hours right down for our 81.
Yep.
So I went there for my undergrad. I was in their nutrition and dietetics program. I was fortunate enough to get into their small coordinated program, which means when you become a registered dietitian, you have to do 1,200 internship hours to be able to sit for your RD exam. For many people, if your school does not have a coordinated program, you go into a national match pool, similar to like when a doctor is going into residency, with only a 50% match rate. Okay. So I was able to get that done in my junior and senior year because my school had this special program. So when I graduated, I was dietitian eligible, and I started my master's right away and then started working at a long-term care facility as well.
That's awesome. And it's really great. Are you still in touch with the registered dietitian that had inspired you to go on this career path?
I think I've reached out to her a couple years ago, and I believe we're connected on LinkedIn still. Mm-hmm. I don't know if she's too active on there, but she still works at the hospital for like the clinic I was part of. And I know that my mom has shared stuff like her as well. So I don't know her personally, but I hope that she knows and has seen the impact that she's really made on me.
Awesome. That's wonderful. And it's such a full circle situation that somebody that helped you so much as a young girl has really made such an impact, and a positive one at that, in your life. And that's a really fantastic story and a really, great thing to share. And it definitely could help you inspire, other young girls that are potentially facing the same types of issues. So that's really important. And thank you for sharing that, because that's really, really fantastic. So I want to, well, first off, we better pause this because you mentioned your mom quick, and we need to give Miss Joanne a shout out. So Emily's mom, I have actually known through our local dairy promotion program since I was probably 4 years old. So I want to say Emily might not have even been born yet at that point. And her and I love to chit chat and get together and do arts and crafts at meetings. And I'm going to leave that little inside joke out there because only Joanne will get that. Or anyone that knows our do you pick up on that, Emily, or no?
No, I don't.
So
I'll have to ask her. I'm going to see her later.
No, we're going to air this all out right here. This is for you, Joanne. So when I was, I don't even know how old I was at this point, and I can't remember for the life of me what meeting it was at, but I ended up sitting at a dinner table at a banquet with her, and they had cloth napkins, and I think we were all just kind of
yeah.
Oh yes. Yep. And she thought it would be really fun to teach me how to make what looks like a bra out of a cloth napkin. And to this day, anytime it comes to folding cloth napkins, all I can think of is your mom. And I love it. It's fantastic. And it was also Joanne. Yeah,
Go
she's a
ahead.
crafty little bugger, she is.
She still whips out that trick every holiday season when we're trying to like fold napkins for the table. You know, she's like, look, I'm abroad. I'm like, thanks, Mom.
She's not worried. You've been the embarrassed kid. You're good. Now you're old enough to own it now, so you're good to go. But that's a heck of a party trick. So
yeah, it is.
Actually, Joanne is the one that had reached out to me and said, oh my gosh, I love where you're going with the podcast. You should reach out to Emily. So that's actually, I've met you maybe a few times over the years, but that's what really led me into, checking out your content more. And I'm glad that I gave you a follow, because some of the stuff that you share online is very helpful and inspirational, and gives those little pokes and prods of like, hey, you should probably do this a little better, and those are fantastic. So shout out to my girl Joanne, because I just love her.
I mean, I appreciate that. Honestly, I should probably put her on like a marketing budget or something, because she's always like, she shares everything on LinkedIn. She's always like, you got to follow my daughter. This month I was featured in the Syracuse Woman magazine, and her and my dad picked up like 10 copies, and they were mailing them to like my aunts, and then she was giving them out to the neighbors and everything. I was like, you need to put me on your payroll. I'm like, maybe I should.
Next thing you know, she's in the grocery store. That's my daughter. That's my daughter. Do you see that? Yes, I can see that. She probably has already done this. We will have to reach out to her to confirm.
Probably.
So let's dive into some of the topics that I really wanted to touch on with you today. So I really wanted to, kind of start it off like, so if someone were trying to just, take that little extra push to, work on just getting that healthier lifestyle, maybe it's not a day and night change, but so what are 5 different things that someone that really wants to start putting their lifestyle and their healthy, a healthy diet first, what are 5 things that they could, start by doing?
Yeah, so we talk about this a lot inside of our 8-week small group coaching program, and same thing too inside of our one-on-one program. We all have to start with setting the right foundation of like, what are the goals that we're trying to achieve? Because so often I'll be talking with people and they're like, I'm going to lose weight, which is a great goal to have. But we know that that's not a SMART goal. We know that that's what the end point is. We have to make it into a SMART goal. But I like to even challenge our clients too, to make them a little bit more specific. So there's 2 different types of goals that we can set. There's the process goal, and then there's the outcome goal. So that outcome goal is losing weight. Maybe it's 20 pounds or anything like that. However, I wish I had one, but I don't have a magic wand. I just cannot poof that weight away. I cannot change your healthy habits. I cannot help you, take away the binge eating rate and like that. We have to set those process goals in order for us to start to make those changes. And that process is really, where am I going to start? And maybe, that first goal that you're setting is like, I just want to create more awareness around what's going on. What am I even doing right now? Versus having it be, well, I'm going to, eat more regularly. And maybe you don't even know what you're eating in the first place. So setting those right goals of understanding what's the process, what are those things that I measure from week to week, that's going to then lead me to that outcome goal, is a really, really important place for us to start.
Awesome. Yeah. So what other tips do you have?
Yeah. So as soon after we figure out that of like, where are we starting? What are we going to start to work on? We encourage clients, and this is really tip number 2, of looking at the longevity of what we're doing. I say this all the time to honestly everyone that I meet, is what you do to lose the weight will have to be what you do to keep the weight off. And it's the same thing too. If you're like, I'm not even looking for weight loss, I'm just looking for a better, healthier lifestyle, what you do to make that change will have to be what you do to be able to stay there, because we're looking for that longevity piece. We really want to teach you about how to be healthy for the next 90 years, not just the next 90 days. So if you're doing this, 4-day cleanse to better your liver because your liver labs were elevated, do you really want to be on this cleanse for the rest of your life to make sure that your liver labs aren't elevated anymore? Probably not. We have to look at that longevity piece of things. Number 3, really stacking those wins and goals, looking for that long-term consistency. So this really does come back to that number 1 with the process and the outcome goals. Making sure what we're doing is slowly kind of layered in versus doing it all at one time. So sure, you could be setting those process goals of, I'm going to go to the gym 5 times this week, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do that. I'm going to do, whatever it is, but maybe you're not even going to the gym at all right now. So, saying I'm going to go to the gym 5 times and you've didn't even look at your calendar for the week and you don't have time to even go twice, may not be the right way to do it. So if we can start with those baby steps of saying, I'm going to go to the gym twice this week. I'm going to track my food on MyFitnessPal or, inside our platform, for a few days just to have a better idea. And then to say, can I cut out that snack after dinner time versus trying to do it all at once? Or to look at that piece that it has to be perfect, because life is going to happen. Things are going to come up. You might have to help care for your parents one day or run errands or a call gets scheduled in like your gym time, and it's just not going to be able to happen. So having that flexibility and slowly stacking up those wins and those goals to be closer to that end point will make things a lot easier for us, rather than saying, here's where I'm starting. I have to be at that end point now. I have to be doing all those things. That's how we burn out really, really fast.
That screams like, it's New Year's, time to lose 20 pounds. I'm going to do this, do this, do this. Yeah. And then by the end of January, they're like, screw that. And then they're back to whatever they're doing. And yeah, I mean, and I'm not going to say I'm not guilty of that sometimes, but as I've gotten older and, started actually going to a gym and stuff, I've realized, that it is about that habit forming and goal stacking, not just an overnight thing. You can't just snap your fingers and be done, because that's definitely not going to be doable in the long run. You have to make it part of your life.
Yeah. And it's, we're not programmed for change. We don't like to be told what to do, so that's why, like, when I'm setting goals with clients, like, well, what do you feel like you want to work on this week? I had a call with a client this morning. Her family owns a dairy farm. I told her about the podcast. I was like, you got to go listen. And she has a 4 or 5 month old son. And, we're working on keeping her intake off so that she can lose weight, but also make sure that she's able to have the best milk production for the baby too. So we're really working on making sure she's getting enough carbohydrates in, but kind of keeping it slow and, building in that exercise, but saying like, can we exercise maybe 3 times this week for 20 minutes? And that could be you in a pool with the kids, something small like that, versus coming at it and saying everything's got to change and you have to do it my way, versus it's not going to be long term. It's got to be really client directed and you directed what feels best to you, versus you trying to fit into what somebody else thinks is best for you.
100%.
Number 4 is building a support system for accountability. And this is huge, because anytime we make change, anytime we're going down the path or, wanting to create a better lifestyle or whatever it is, it can feel really, really lonely. And I often hear this from women where they're like, I want to make a change. I want to feel better. I have a family history of diabetes. I have a family history of heart disease. My significant other doesn't see an issue with this at all. They love to order out. They love to do all these things. But it's very, very hard to get started. So it's finding and having someone that's going to help you as far as create that accountability and support, whether that be us or whether that be your neighbor or your friend or your doctor or someone that could just help you to stay accountable, that you're not living in your brain of here's the goals that I'm setting for myself for, the week. But if I'm not communicating with anyone else, I may not have that accountability to make them happen. When I'm working on business goals, I share them with my team. I share them with the other contractors that I use to help as far as supporting us, marketing and all of that. That way I have that accountability that's built in and I'm more likely to achieve them. Every week I share what my goals are for the week on our Instagram, and those are my health and nutrition goals. I'm trying to get to the gym 3 times this week, and I'm trying to drink at least 80 ounces of water every single day. I am not there yet. I think I'm on 15 ounces. So I've got some time to make up here. But of just sharing those, sharing your goals and what you're working towards and having a conversation. And maybe it's not asking for someone to be on you about it all the time, but maybe you should say, like, can you just nudge me a little bit or check in with me or say like, hey, let's go on a walk. Have that other accountability piece is really, really huge.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Definitely that goes with everything in life though. Like, don't go through life alone. Mm-hmm. If you don't have a support system, find one. There are people out there. If you have people around you that are not supportive, then they're not your people. Right. So that's very important to make sure you have those people in your life.
And sometimes it's difficult too, like let's say we're in that situation where you want to make a change, but your significant other is like, I don't see a problem with this. We're all good. Sometimes you just have to be that first mover. Yeah. Sometimes you have to be that first action taker. And then the other person can be like, wow, like I can tell that you have more energy. Like your skin looks better. Like you're glowing. You feel good. You're sleeping better. Maybe I should make these changes too.
Perfect.
Really motivating. Yeah.
And I
And
think
then
we're on number 5.
we are on number 5. Number 5 is my favorite. And this is honestly for anybody, but especially if you're in that weight loss kind of realm or that's what you're looking for, is keeping your favorite foods in play. Cravings and overeating and binge eating can often come, yes, on an emotional side of things, but when we take out some of our favorite foods. So like we were saying before, we don't like to be told what to do. We want to have a say in what our goals are. We want to have a say in that action plan. So if we do that to ourselves and say, I cannot have chocolate cake ever again, and then we find ourselves at a graduation party or a get together and someone makes this beautiful chocolate cake and there's Reese's peanut butter cups on top, and you are so excited because you know that your aunt or your uncle makes the best chocolate cake ever, you're going to feel uncontrollable in that situation where you just can't stop eating it. Or maybe it's ice cream for you. You're like, I can't keep ice cream in the house. I'm going to go overboard on it. And then you have to go for soft serve after, your nephew's concert or something like that. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to get the large. I'm going to do it up. It's so much easier for us to say, let's normalize these foods. Let's factor them into our normal routine. We go for ice cream every single week. Not every day, but once a week we'll go and I'll get a sundae, or Joe will get, my fiance will get a flurry, or I found last week it was a vanilla soft serve with red raspberry sherbet, and next time I'm going to put rainbow sprinkles on top. Having those favorite things in play can really help with reducing those cravings, but also make life more enjoyable. Nobody has to eat chicken broccoli or rice every single day. That's not where you're going to feel most motivated or excited about either. You got to keep those things variable and fun too.
Yeah, definitely. I think those are great tips for someone who is looking to start making a change in their life. I can definitely resonate with some of them, and, might need to work on a few of those myself, but that's besides the point. And I'm totally in camp ice cream all day, every day. So
we will absolutely be getting ice cream this week with it being 95 degrees all week long.
Yes. To heck with chicken and broccoli and rice for me. It's ice cream. I mean, I do like broccoli.
I love broccoli.
Give me the beef. I'm all about the beef.
It gets a little boring. Chicken, broccoli, and rice gets a little bit boring after like day 2 of it.
Yes. First meal. Okay, that's done. On to something better.
Exactly.
The Barnyard Language Podcast is honest talk about running farms and raising families, hosted by us, Katie and Arlene, an Iowa sheep farmer and an Ontario dairy farmer with 6 kids, 2 husbands, and a whole lot of chaos between us.
We talk to guests who have life experience that's relatable to parents in agriculture and offer resources, perspective, compassion, a few swears, and lots of laughs.
Whether your farm is a raised bed in your backyard or 10,000 acres.
Whether your family is in the planning stages or you've got a dozen kids.
If you've ever had a car seat in a combine, a stroller in a stable, or you have a toddler or a teen in your tractor, this is the podcast for you.
Subscribe to Barnyard Language today on your favorite podcast platform.
My gosh. So what are some of the common obstacles that you see, with people that are trying to make these changes? What are some of the things that people just get stuck on and, can't seem to overcome? How can they, maybe an example on how they can work on overcoming that?
Yeah. So 2 things come to mind when you ask that question. Number 1 is the social media influence of things. I saw a recent statistic that only 2% of nutrition information is actually correct on social media, whether that be Instagram or TikTok or YouTube, anything like that. And so that's a huge obstacle for many of us because we start to see it, and maybe we have a couple different creators that are, that they're saying, yeah, this is it. This is what we have to be doing, where we're not really able to kind of look and say, well, do I really want to do that? Do I really, there was one recently where it was like, oatmeal is killing you. You can't have oatmeal. And the amount of questions that I got about that of oh my gosh, you told me oatmeal is great. This person on the internet, I've seen 5 videos today that oatmeal is killing me. And so I think that's a huge obstacle. There's just so much noise out there, especially for people that don't have the training or the credentials, or they're cherry picking research, to have that confirmation bias of see, it's bad for you. So I think that's a huge, huge piece. Anytime that we try to go and make a change is there's just, I guess you could say, bad actors out there, or they're not really looking at the health of the entire population, or let's say the entire adult population. They're more so saying well, I've got this money to spend $500 on this supplement. And sorry, you don't, but maybe if you stopped eating oatmeal, you would, and then you could save the money and, do all of that stuff. I think that's a huge piece of it. And then number two, I would say the other biggest obstacle is seeing what other people are doing. And okay, maybe they've been able to find success with it of like, okay, I'm drinking more water or whatever. That's actually a good habit, but I'm on keto and, I've lost all of this weight, or I've given up all added sugar ever. I drink my coffee black now, which sounds horrible. I love the Chobani creamers. I could never do that. It's hard for saying like, all right, well, my neighbor's doing this or my friend's doing this and they've seen all of this progress and they feel so much better that I have to do it too. And oftentimes these are things that are not built around us or for us or really have us in mind for success. They're off of somebody else's kind of idea of this is what I need to do to make change. So if we're often trying what's working for others, but not looking into ourselves and creating more of that awareness of like, this is what I need to work on or what my own issues are, then we're not going to see long-term success. It's finding that personalized route is so important.
Definitely. And yeah, it's not a one size fits all kind of glove. It's definitely, you need to figure out what works best for your body type, your lifestyle, the people around you, your likes and dislikes. If you don't like broccoli, it's probably not going to work. If you're like, I don't like broccoli, but I'm going to eat it every single meal of every single day. Okay.
Right. Yeah. And the thing too is like there's, with the bad actor that might be on social media, it's like I've had clients where they've done other programs and then they'll come to us. Now you need to eat more fruit. Like you have 0 fiber in your diet. And I had a client one time start to cry and she's like, you mean I can have fruit again? I'm like, yeah, I mean, you need the B vitamins, you need the vitamin C, you need the fiber there. And she's like, I've been told for so long that fruit is bad and all of the sugar. And it's like, well, we got to look at you and what you need. And if you're having these GI issues, you need more fiber in your diet. This is a great way to get it in.
100%. So I guess that kind of, leads into the next question a little bit, so you get on starting these new habits of trying to make some changes, how do you help encourage people to maintain that motivation? You maybe go off track for a week, you spiral downward, how do you have people overcome that and get back on track instead of being like, well, I already messed that up, so I might as well not bother?
Yeah. So motivation is a tricky one for us because we feel like we're going to wake up tomorrow and have all this motivation. Like I have fallen into that trap before too. Like I'm going to get up and I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to set my alarm for 6:30. 6:30 rolls around and I'm like, Alexa snooze for like 45 minutes straight. And it's not working for me because I'm not having that motivation. So when we set that idea that like, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be motivated tomorrow, that's not how motivation works. We have to start to take action. And the only way that we start to take action is from being uncomfortable from something. You don't take action because everything's great. Nobody raises their hand to say, hey, I want to work with you guys because my nutrition's great right now. They raise their hand to be like, I'm really, really struggling. I'm in a place of pain. I need to make a change. I don't have the motivation yet, but I know that something needs to come. And then we start to see results. And then we get the motivation because we see those results. So having that idea that motivation is going to come out of nowhere is just not going to happen. But I think this comes back to taking that pressure off of that perfection and taking that pressure off of like, I need to be 100% on the game all the time, because that's when we get off track when we go on vacation or we have a weekend where none of our meals can be made from home because we're just so busy, rather than being in that woe is me, like I have to start over again on Monday, reframing that and have it be, I'm picking up the pieces and then carrying on. I can still make my best choices in those situations. I can still make my best choices while being out to eat or being at a friend's house. That can help with keeping the motivation and also keeping the progress going forward too. But if we can get out of that idea that we're going to wake up and have motivation one day and say, no, I'm going to get to the point one day where this is not good anymore, I have to make change, that's where we're going to start to get that motivation from seeing results. And I've always heard it too from one of my business coaches when I was first starting. We never measure success and motivation by looking forward, because it's always feeling like I've got so much further to go. I've got so much more to do. I'm just not there yet. we measure our success and motivation by looking backwards of look at all of the stuff that I've been able to accomplish. Look how proud I am of myself. Reading through journals, that you've done years ago and seeing those changes that you've gone through can be motivating to move you forward. But if we keep having that eye on like, well, I'm just not there yet. I'm just not there yet. My labs still aren't where I want to be. My blood sugar levels are still elevated. We're not going to have that motivation. We're going to get more of that like Debbie Downers on ourselves with there.
Yes, definitely. And I've definitely fallen into the trap before where you're like doing really good and then, there's some type of holiday or something and then you kind of go off the quote unquote off the wagon and then, oh, there's leftovers. Then you're like, oh, it's been, 5 days and you're like, oh, I've kind of lost all my progress. But yeah, definitely just looking back and, reminding yourself that you can in fact do it. This is how far I've come. Tomorrow's, today's a new day. Like you don't have to wait till the next day. You don't have to wait till Monday to start making good lifestyle choices. It starts by, picking up that bottle of water and getting your hydration in and doing all of those fun things, which I guess, what is your recommendation for your hydration recommendation?
Half your weight in ounces is going to be a great place to start. So let's say you weigh 150 pounds, 75 ounces is going to be a really, really good place to start. There is definitely an upper limit. You really don't need to be drinking more than a gallon of water a day. But trying to get that minimum amount, you're just going to feel better. You're going to have less GI issues. You're going to have less headaches. Your energy is going to be so much better. You're also going to notice that you feel less puffy, especially in your hands and your feet if you're drinking more water, which sounds counterproductive. Your body doesn't have to hold on to it as much if you're actually drinking enough of it.
Okay. And you'll also be spending a lot more time peeing.
Yep. But your bladder is a muscle. It will get stronger. So you won't be in the bathroom forever, I promise.
I just had to throw that tidbit in because I've gone and I am one of the worst people ever at trying to make sure that I drink enough water. If I could drink my water in the form of coffee, I would be all set. But I'm aware that is not a good start.
It's a diuretic, but I am all for flavoring your water. So if you like the fizzy waters, I love the limoncello flavor of LaCroix sparkling water. You can get it in that way. It doesn't have to be just plain tap water all the time.
So what other drinks, so when I go to the gym, I then drink like a Core Power. Does that count as part of my ounces for the day?
It will count as part of the ounces of the day because obviously there's water that's, kind of like that basis of the liquid for the Core Power drinks. And then it's great post-exercise too. I will find it be drinking it prior to exercise because the protein can like roll around. You get that upset stomach feeling. Yep. But post-exercise, especially with the electrolytes too that are in milk and with the Core Power, you are rehydrating. It will count towards your fluid intake.
Yeah, I started going, to a gym, a boot camp style gym a year and a half ago now. And it's one of those things like I look forward to my chocolate milk every time I get done at the gym. Like I cannot drive home from the gym without my chocolate milk. And it's routine.
It's so needed. And I've been doing a lot of race events recently too, where, people are running 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathons, and I'll like come with a table and all like this nutrition information and everything. And I'll bring like 2 gallons of chocolate milk and everyone's like, please, I need this. I'm like, go ahead, take a big class. You got to replenish somehow.
Yes. Shout out, refuel with chocolate milk. It's the best way to go.
Yes, it is.
And then if you get the Core Powers, you just get the 42 grams and there you go with all your protein.
Yeah, it's a lot of protein. You don't have to do the 42 gram ones. The 26 grams are perfectly fine. But if you struggle to get in meat, if you're like, this is going to be a protein. That's part of my lunch today or part of my dinner, perfectly fine.
I struggle to get in my protein. So I just buy the 42 grams and then I'm like, fine going over, but I'm like, I just need to make sure I've got it. So I guess with that, we did water recommendations, for the average, person that goes to the gym, 4 to 5 times a week, what is kind of your protein goals for those people?
So going to be very individualized because it depends on what your goals are. It depends on, what the style of exercise that you're doing too. If you're doing a lot of strength training, probably going to err more towards 1.2 to 1.5 grams per kilogram. And I know that's math, but that's how my brain kind of thinks, with the protein and everything, it's all in kilograms. So that's how our science is. So it probably is going to end up being at least 25 to 35 grams of protein per meal, maybe 15 to 20 grams of protein per snack. So if you're really trying to gain strength, trying to, keep your metabolism elevated, because muscle mass will increase your metabolic rate, we really want to be on that higher side of protein. If you have kidney issues, I do not recommend going high protein. It's going to be very individualized. Like if you have chronic kidney disease or anything like that. But for the standard healthy individual, you're not really going to go overboard on protein unless you're eating, let's say, 200 grams of protein a day.
Challenge accepted. Why are you drinking 6 chocolate milks? I don't know. Just going to try to prove Emily wrong. I don't know. No, would never do that. Not to mention, I don't know if I could afford that many of those chocolate milks per day. But that's besides the point. Gosh, do you have any other advice as far as on the RD side of things before we switch into more of our the fun side of the episode?
Yeah, the big thing, and I say this often when I'm presenting to local groups or to businesses, is if you're looking for help to make change, there are 3 things that you always want to look for. 1, if you're looking for that accountability and support, always look for a registered dietitian. That credential it's legally, I guess you could say, like, legally certified, I guess. But you don't have to have any, board right, and like as we call yourself a nutritionist. Anyone can be a nutritionist now. You could call yourself a nutritionist. But a registered dietitian is a legal title where we have to sit for boards and now have your master's and do, all of this training in order to be able to utilize that credential. And our job as a registered dietitian is to take that research and help translate it and then help to personalize that to your own life. Number 2 is start to think about what can you do long term. Stop thinking the next 30, 60, 90 days and start thinking about how can I make this change last for me? How can I make this be something that I can do forever? Because if you have to get on and off keto all the time, and that's the one that I often pick on, if I hear people like back on keto again, it's not going to be successful for us in the long run. And then number 3, always just start small. Have someone that's going to help encourage you with those small changes versus having to come in and do this huge diet and lifestyle overhaul, because it's not going to be helpful for us in the long run.
I love it. That is solid advice that I need to take. So we're just going to throw that out there. So at this point, I like to just throw some fun rapid fire questions in there just to get to know you a little bit better. Yeah. Are you morning person or night owl?
Night owl. And I recently thought I was a morning person until I was having a conversation with my fiance about it. And he's like, are you crazy? He's like, I will kiss your forehead to go into work and you don't even make a noise. You just grunt at me to say good morning. So I guess I'm a night owl.
I like to tell people that I'm a neither owl. Don't prefer to get up in the morning. Don't really stay up super late. I need my sleep. I'm a need my sleep kind of person.
Yeah, so. I would say I'm more awake as the day goes on, like more awake in the evening time, than I am, let's say, at 7 o'clock in the morning. But I'm definitely not a go to bed at midnight girl. I like to be in bed by like 9:15, 9:30.
Yep, I'm here for that. What is your dream vacation destination?
Ooh, my dream vacation destination is probably like Bora Bora, someplace that's like super, super far away. You could be there for 2 weeks and you don't have any cell service. And you just have to send postcards back to your family like, miss ya, we're having fun. See you when I get home. I think that'd be so cool, but also expensive and very far trip to travel to.
I mean, it'd be fun though.
Yeah, 100% worth it. Maybe in 5-10 years we could do that.
Perfect. Mom might want to go at this point.
She will say, am I invited?
Don't forget your favorite mother now.
Exactly.
Oh, dear. So we already touched on ice cream, but I have to know, what's your favorite ice cream flavor?
So if it's soft serve, it's vanilla. I don't like chocolate soft serve. I only like vanilla. I do like the red raspberry sherbet, but I prefer vanilla soft serve. If it is hard ice cream, Stewart's Shops has peanut butter pandemonium, and it is the best. It is the most peanut butter ice cream that I've ever had, and I could eat it endlessly.
That's one of my husband's top ice creams. I like it. Like, I'm certainly not going to turn it down, but I am a Stewart's brownie cookie sundae gal because I love cookie dough, but then it gives you like the chocolate chunks. But I never get it at the dip counter because it's always next to the mint chocolate chip. and it always tastes like mint chocolate chip, and I don't like mint chocolate chip. So therefore, I unfortunately have to buy it by the half gallon. Yep. Tough things in life. Hello, ladies. If you have been here for a bit now, you know that I am constantly on the go. Oh, yeah. And I have 3 school-age children with germs everywheres. Cue Wonder Cow Colostrum. This made in America bovine colostrum is top notch. I have been taking it for some time now, and the difference has been amazing. My immune system has a much easier time fighting off germs. My gut health, top notch. And I've been feeling great. I take in a bottle of water every morning as part of my daily routine. So, if you are a busy mom on the go and don't have time for germs, go to wondercow.com and get some today. P.S. Use code DGV10 and save yourself some dollars. But if I'm going, try that one. Like, gosh, it's so good. And if I'm going like even more local to us, there is King's Dairy, which is, you know, a half hour from us. They have a lemon dream ice cream, and it is to die for. So
that sounds
if you're
so
ever
good.
in the area, Emily, we're going to go to King's for ice cream.
I'm in. I love lemon.
Oh, good. Thankfully. And then you get that, and then you get a scoop of the like white, is it white chocolate with raspberry swirl to go with the lemon?
That sounds amazing.
Yep, in a waffle cone, of course. Yep.
I'm a dish girl. It's got to be in a dish for me. I would spill it all over me. I'm not a big cone girl. It depends
on where I am. Like, I don't know. It's just something about those two melding in the waffle cone, and it's just wonderful. And I'm a recently turned waffle cone girly, because for the majority of my life, I did not like waffle cones. And there's a place in Pennsylvania that we go to, and they legit make their waffle cones right there. Like, you walk in and really you can smell them cooking. So, of course, you have to get one of those, even if you don't like waffle cones. And surprise, surprise, now I like waffle cones. Only good ones.
I think that would be my exception then. If you'll have to send me what the place is when I'm in Pennsylvania again, because 100%. I will make that exception.
It's Laps, LAPPS. Laps. They're right around the Lancaster County area, but they make all their ice cream and they make their waffle cones, and they are fantastic. So,
but you know,
yes, I'm just here for all the good ice cream tips.
Right, exactly.
We're supposed to make healthy lifestyle changes, but ice cream is a priority. So we're just
like I said, keep your favorite foods in play.
Yeah. Your favorite TV show?
Wow.
Like, if you had to binge watch a TV show, what are you after?
If I had to binge watch a TV show, probably The Office, just because it's great. But I have that guilty pleasure of Dance Moms. It's so trashy and it's so, but I can always throw it on, and I love the artistry. So one of those.
Oh, I love it. And The Office is very fitting because Scranton, Pennsylvania, and you're not very far from there, so that makes sense.
Yeah, Marywood was right in Scranton, so everything, at Marywood, I know Scranton still has like an Office 5K and half marathon, and they have the Office Day every single year, and we would see all the different places that they would go to, so very appropriate.
One of the prerequisites to getting into the college. Do you like the show, The Office? If not, you can look elsewhere.
Right. But there were surprisingly people that I met that had never seen it before. So
wow.
I know.
It's not one of my favorites. My husband likes it, but it's not like, I don't know. I don't know if the timing in my life when it came out wasn't right. I don't know what exactly happened there, but I am 100% a Friends girly. So
another great show.
Well, I literally watch Friends. Like, I've seen every episode like millions of times. So I have a terrible habit of needing to watch TV when I fall asleep. So every night it's Friends, because I don't need to stay up and see what happens. I already know what happens. So
right, exactly.
Put it on quiet in the background and it gets the job done.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite holiday tradition? Besides napkin bras, of course.
I did not, when I picked that question for you, had not even thought of that until it came out of my mouth, and I was like, well, obviously that's going to be one of the favorites.
I would say one of my favorite holiday traditions, definitely growing up, my dad would always sit down at Christmas Eve or, a couple days before and read, let's not the night before Christmas, and then before Christmas. There we go.
The night before Christmas, yeah.
Yes, he would read that to my brother and I, and Hallmark years ago came out with books where you could record yourself saying it. So 1 year for Christmas, my dad got that for both my brother and I after we had moved out. That and probably I love Christmas morning at my parents' house because my mom always makes this wonderful and very rich Paula Deen breakfast casserole that's amazing, but so good. And we always sit up at 6 o'clock and sit on their bed in my parents' bed and open up our stockings together. And we go downstairs and we take turns in between, one person opens a gift individually at a time. So we're not all tearing through. It'll take us hours to go through things because you have to sit there and watch everyone else open. And my fiance got to experience that this year. And he's like, Christmas takes forever at your house because you're just sitting and staring at each other. And I was like, yeah, but it's fun, isn't it?
So, funny story. We are the same. My family is the same exact way. And my husband's family is not that way. And it's just the funniest thing. And he still to this day is just like, I don't know if I wouldn't say frustrated is the right word, but he's just like, why?
Yeah.
And now that I have the kids, we usually try to do a few rounds of that, but most of the presents are obviously for the kids around. So like we'll kind of do the go around, everybody opens one, and then we'll like give the kids the rest of theirs and let them open them all together. Yeah. But it's funny that you say that because I don't know if I've really met or I've never talked to someone about it and figured out that they have that same tradition of everybody goes around and then a different person starts each time.
Yep. It's, like, who's going to give the next gift? Okay, like, I'll give one each to my parents, going around in circles that way where my fiance was like, no, we just like, here's your pile. You just start ripping through them. And I was like, but then Christmas is done so fast.
Yeah, and then you don't know what other people got or if they really appreciated your gift when they opened it. Like, you can see that genuine, like,
exactly.
Oh, this is awesome, or genuine, like, what the heck did she get me that for?
Right. Or the store, like I like to try to be very thoughtful with gifts. So like there's always a story behind like why I end up getting something, and I want to be able to tell you versus for you to be like, oh yeah, and then I opened this. It's like, oh my gosh, there's a whole story that goes along with that too. So
yeah, I love it. So I guess, and I know your mother is a really good cook. Mm-hmm. What is your favorite meal? Well, what's your favorite meal that Joanne cooks for you?
My mom, and she hasn't made it for me in a while, makes a
this is your sign.
I know. Makes a really, really good turkey meatloaf that's wrapped in prosciutto. And it's so good. And you bake it in the oven and everything. I love that. And she also makes it delicious, and it's my brother's favorite thing that she does is it's pork tenderloins. Sliced with a sage and then wrapped in prosciutto and pan fried with like a lemon reduction on top. Ooh. And she makes the best pesto. So like every birthday I'm like, you gotta make the pesto with the tortellini. Dad can do the steaks, but the blue cheese on top. Yeah, she's a great cook.
She is. See, who needs Paula Deen? We just need Joanne.
Exactly.
That's where it's all about. So right. I also love to bring a question from a prior guest on the podcast to you, kind of a thought-provoking question. So let's see. Jeez. Okay. If you could not be a registered dietitian and couldn't be anything in that health field, if you had to do a completely different career, it could be something way far out there, but just something that fascinates you, what career path would you choose?
I think marketing would be really cool because I know a lot of psychology goes into it. And at one point before I decided on being a registered dietitian, I thought sports marketing would be very cool. But I feel like the people that do graphic design and marketing, they're just so creative, and you have to kind of think in the mind of other people and understand the psychology piece of it while still helping to really motivate making change or moving someone in that right direction. Although it's completely different from being an RD, I feel like having some sort of marketing, advertising, graphic design, swirl all that into one would have been very fun.
There you go. And I love our guests to leave a piece of inspiration, motivation for the audience. So what do you have for us?
And when you sent this email, I looked at it. I was like, I already know what I'm going to say. It's been actually my phone background probably for like 5 years now. And it just says like in little, like almost like little like bracelet letters you can get, like, you have not failed until you've stopped trying. So, and that could be taken anywhere, whether you have a business or in your career or in relationships. But thinking of it from that perspective, you're not a failure unless you stop trying. So if you can keep putting in the energy and keep showing up for you or for your work or whatever it is, it can really help to, keep that motivation going forward too.
I love it. It's like so simple, but it's so deep all at the same time. So it's really, I like it. And that's dedication to have it on your phone background for 5 years.
I know. It's just easy. I like the color. It's like yellow, it's very like Zen vibes, but it's a nice reminder of like, no matter what happens, like you're learning, it's as you go, and you're not a failure until you say like, I can't do this anymore. I'm done with this or whatever it is. You're just learning along that way as long as you keep trying.
Awesome. Emily, why don't you plug where people can follow you?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram at Nourished with Emily, NOURISHED with Emily. We're also on Facebook. We have a Facebook group, Nourished with Emily. Or you can go onto our website, grab our free guide that's up there, nourishedwithemily.com. There's tons of recipes, resources, programming stuff, and so much more. But you can check it out there.
Awesome. And I will link those in the show notes for everyone so they can find it nice and easily. Emily, it was an absolute pleasure to have you on. I know your mom is going to be so excited for this to come out. She is probably going to be the first one to listen. And then we'll see all over Facebook. Look. So,
well, thank you so much. Yeah, she's, like I said, I should put her on my marketing team. I probably should put her on the payroll, and she and my dad had always been such big cheerleaders of, everything that myself as well as my brother have ever done. So I'm very thankful for that. But thank you so much for having me. This has been great.
Thank you. And thank you so much for listening. We will talk to you next time.